Hey everybody, welcome back to the NerdNest. My name is Bill and this is my channel all about the gaming industry. On today's show, I want to talk about how devs are really focusing on the Steam Deck compatibility and why that's a big deal for pretty much every single PC gamer out there. In fact, it's not just PC gamers that'll benefit, it's every gamer out there. We also have some new beta updates to SteamOS, a new way that Valve is helping Steam Deck users, plus it seems like the PS5 Pro launch is imminent. There's a new mini PC maker focusing on retro gaming, and we have some very cool collections that are on the way. If that sounds good, get comfortable, get subscribed. Let's get started. There were a lot of people that were skeptical if the Steam Deck would have any real impact on the gaming industry, and after a few years, it seems like the question of whether or not it would has been answered. I'm referring to this post over on Steam Deck HQ. Noah, who is a friend of the show, went to Gamescom in Germany, and he ran into a lot of devs that were really excited to get their games running on Steam Deck, and they were really focused on making sure that those games are running well on the Steam Deck. This is a very good reflection of what I experienced when I went to PAX East in the spring of this year. I met with tons of devs, although not as many as I would have liked because I tore my meniscus 5 minutes after arriving and I missed a bunch of appointments because of that. But nearly all of the devs that I did get a chance to meet with said that their game was on the Steam Deck or it was coming to the Steam Deck and that they were really focused on getting their games verified. But I didn't have to go to meet these devs in person. I could have just met with them online using the sponsor of today's video, MODMIC. Most gaming headphones kind of sound terrible, which is why I tend to buy studio monitors instead. They just sound so much better. My current favorite pair of headphones are the Shure SRH840A. They have one serious drawback: no microphone. That's where this comes in. This is the Antlion Audio MODMIC USB. It's designed to attach to any pair of headphones, and because it's just a microphone, you can be sure that the R&D that went into making it all went towards getting you a fantastic sounding audio from your microphone. In fact, this whole segment has been recorded using the MODMIC with no sound processing at all. Sure, I could get a gaming headset that has a built-in microphone, but those usually sound pretty bad and the mics are almost always terrible. And then you're stuck with a microphone constantly sticking out of the side whether you need it or not. If I'm not gaming, I can easily take off the mic thanks to this magnetic clip. The mic has an inline mute switch so you can turn it off if you need to have a private conversation while you're gaming. It also comes with these little clips. These clips are what I use to put it on your headset wire and then make sure your MODMIC's extra wire just kind of disappears while you're using it. The MODMIC comes in two versions, one that has USB and another one that's 3.5mm traditional audio headphone jack. So if you want to get some great studio monitors but you've been avoiding doing that because they don't have a microphone, use the link in the description down below that like button and pick up a MODMIC for yourself. And if you do pick one up, let me know in the comments as well which one you bought and what headphones you're going to be pairing it with. Big thanks to Antlion for sponsoring this video. Back to what I was saying. While Noah was in Germany, he had the exact same experience that I had when I was in Boston for PAX East. He met with, except for the torn meniscus. He met with the devs working on Disney's Epic Mickey, and they even brought a Steam Deck so that people could test the game on that. The director of the game, quote, loves his deck and is adamant that the game will be running on there. Noah had the same conversations with the devs from NetEase, Fragpunk, Flotopia, Nexon, and a ton of other indie devs, all looking to focus on the Steam Deck. I will link to his full article down below, that like button, so that you can check it out. The reason that so many devs want to make sure that their games are running on the Steam Deck is because it lets them play in a smaller pond. There have been thousands and thousands of games released on Steam just this year. It's a really big pond. It's hard to stand out in that pond, but the number of games that Valve highlights as plays great on deck is a much smaller number. So if a dev can get their game performing well on the deck, and they can get that coveted green check mark, even though the system is a little bit flawed, they can possibly get highlighted in this smaller subset of games on Steam. This could mean a big boost in sales from deck owners, and then other PC gamers might see this game rising up in the sale charts and pick it up for more traditional PCs. What's even better is because the Vanco chipset, which is the chipset that powers the Steam Deck, it's super efficient and low power. Most people's computers that they use are going to run the games even better than the Steam Deck will. So if the games are running well on the deck, then we can extrapolate out that just about everyone is going to have a really great experience playing these games no matter what hardware they're using. The more time that devs spend optimizing their games to make sure that they run well on lower power hardware like the Steam Deck, the better off everyone is. And it's not just PC gamers, because most games that aren't, the big AAA, big budget releases, most of those come to Steam before they end up on any other platform. So if that optimization is done well and it runs great on deck, it'll run great on lower power hardware. And then when the games get ported to Xbox, PlayStation, or Nintendo systems, well, then those gamers are also going to get a better experience because of all of the optimization that went into getting the games to get that green check mark in the first place. Next up, we have a few updates from SteamOS Beta. I used to cover these every single time they came out, but Valve really has been speeding up the pace of the patches, and most of them aren't for huge new features. That said, when I was looking through the recent patch notes today, one thing really jumped out at me, and it happened on the 22nd, and it's this line right here. Added a drop-down to Settings Display Advanced to select the maximum resolution allowed to be used by games. This is something that I personally have been asking for since the deck released. In fact, let's rewind back to when that happened. For those of you that don't remember, you could dock the Steam Deck from day one, but Valve didn't ship their dock until a long time after launch. I personally speculated that they didn't do it because they didn't want to ship the dock until SteamOS was a better docked experience. Because when the Steam Deck was first launched, it was a bad experience for the docked mode. When you plug the deck in, it would blow up to 4K or whatever your screen was, and everything would look really, really tiny and hard to read. Plus, the entire system just chugged as it attempted to control that many pixels all at once. After Valve got that stuff under control and the docked experience became much, much better, only then did they actually ship their dock. Well, in order to make that experience better, one of the things that they gave us was an easier way to limit the output resolution of games. They did this on a game-by-game basis, which is great. However, you had to remember to do that for each game. I can understand why, though. I'm sure that there are plenty of low-power, highly optimized games that the deck can run at 4K, but I didn't have very many of them in my library. I always found the place that they put the dialogue to be kind of out of the way and easy to forget. Well, now the settings, you can set it globally. I think that this is a great solution, but it isn't perfect, and there's something that I would like to see Valve do in addition to this. I would love to have a game-by-game override moved out of that cogwheel where it's hidden and into the quick access menu, which we use all the time. That's where you change the TDP, the half rate shadings, and all the other changes that someone would make on a game-by-game basis. To me, it just makes sense to have it live there. The one issue is that you can't control any of the stats on a game-by-game basis before you launch a game. So I can still see why it's buried in the cogwheel settings. Perhaps Valve could give us a drop-down menu of games in that list somewhere in the quick access menu, and then we could toggle which games we want to set on a game-by-game basis. Also, Valve, please, please, please give me a way to make setting my performance overrides in the quick access menu always on a game-by-game basis. I never want to change global settings for my Steam Deck, only for certain games. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Speaking of game performance, one thing that Valve recently changed is the ability for us to see if a game reviewer was playing the game on the Steam Deck. This is awesome. All you have to do is click on the filters under playtime and check played mostly on Steam Deck. You can see how many hours they played, and it feels like Valve is trying to replace websites like ProtonDB, which when the Steam Deck first launched, I was using that website all the time, but And it's a really good website, but I don't really find myself checking it much these days. So I really appreciate that Valve is giving us the tools to see exactly how reviewers are playing the game. Moving on to other industry news, let's talk about the PS5 Pro. It has been grinding its way through the rumor mill for a while now, and today there was an article from Paul Tassi, who writes for Forbes. Apparently there is a website called dialabs.com, and they claim that they have seen the packaging for the PS5 Pro. Take this rumor with a massive grain of salt, but rather than show it and risk it getting taken down, they've done what Tassi refers to as a police sketch, which makes me believe it just a little bit more. Now, whether or not it is accurate remains to be seen, but it does follow Sony's general design language pretty well. And by that, what I mean to say is that I hate it. It's the same weird gaming router design with fins on the side and no disc. Of course, we already do have that disc add-on that you can buy, and I'm sure it will be compatible with that, but Sony, for the love of all things that is good in the world, just make a damn rectangle. I hate the shape of your device. As far as performance of the PS5 Pro, these are the rumored specs. I will leave them on screen for a few moments so that you can read through them. For me, I already have a PS5, and the games that I play on it seem to play pretty well. They play good enough for me anyway. But as a content creator, I will probably end up picking up one of these day one just so that I can talk about the experience. Either way, I think no matter which PlayStation you get, if you're in the market for a console, you will have a pretty good experience. By the way, my friend Jimmy, who runs the channel PS Ready, which is all about PlayStation, he has a great video about the PS5 Pro. I will link that down below the like button so you can check it out. Speaking of hardware, friend of the show and creator of Emudeck, Dragoon Doughrise, is building his own Emudeck themed mini PC, and you can buy one. It has a Ryzen Zen 4 8600, a 760M overclocked to 3.1 gigahertz, 4 USB ports on the front, Ethernet. It comes shipped with Bakelite, which is as close to SteamOS as you can get right now. They have been talking to me about this project for quite a long time at this point, and I think it looks really cool. We will probably discuss it at length on the next episode of the NerdNest podcast. Remember a few months ago when Capcom announced at the Nintendo Direct that they were releasing the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics? Horrible name, but awesome idea. The internet lost their minds because it was including Marvel vs. Capcom games, and some of these games are just not available anywhere. Well, they didn't stop there, because now they have a sequel to the Capcom Fighting Collection, Capcom Fighting Collection 2, which comes out next year, and this collection has Power Stone and Power Stone 2. I loved my Dreamcast, and I played tons of Power Stone back in the day. It's a really unique fighting game. It's isometric 3D with a large battlefield where you run around picking up weapons to fight with, stuff like tables, chairs, bombs. The name of the game is Power Stone, and it comes from the items that also spawn on the field. And if you collect enough of them, your character would become a more powerful version of that character. There's a lot of frantic running after items rather than just brawling, and not a whole lot of fighting games play like that. It's kind of like Smash Brothers, but in 3D. The game comes out next year, and like I said, it also includes both Power Stone games, Project Justice, Plasma Sword, Street Fighter Alpha 3, Upper, Capcom Fighting Evolution, Capcom vs. SNK 1 and 2. I'm betting that this game is going to come in at about $40 to $50, and honestly, if you're a fighting game fan, it seems worth it to me. I absolutely love what Capcom is doing with these collections. And you know what else is worth it? Checking out this video right here. YouTube seems to think that it is going to be perfect for you. And don't forget to check out the links to my sponsor, MODMIC. By supporting the sponsors, you are supporting the NerdNest. Stay rad, everybody.